Hey guys, Tony Maritato here. So one of the most popular questions we get in the Medicare billing group is a clinician asking if we can bill a reevaluation charge when performing a progress note. Now, the simple answer is no. Thank you. I just saved you 5 minutes of video time. But if you want to see the reason behind the no, check this out. I'm going to go into CMS Chapter 15. We're going to go down to Section 220 right at the very beginning. I want you to read some of the definitions with me of the terminology CMS uses, and then we're going to go into a section specifically that will identify why you cannot bill a reevaluation code when you're doing a standard progress report. So right here, we're down to Section 220. It's page 152 on the PDF. There's definitions. Now, these are actually really helpful definitions. You know, something that I think we don't pay enough attention to is sometimes you and I use terminology differently than CMS intended. So for an example, there is no terminology here in the definitions for a reassessment. I often will say, hey, let's do a reassessment on this particular patient. I'm using that interchangeably with a progress note, but it's really not the same thing. So if we look at CMS definition of assessment, you can see it's separate from the evaluation. So the eval and the assessment are separate. It includes it's included in the services or procedures, which means it's not separately payable. So you do assessments when you do an evaluation. It's part of the evaluation. You do assessments on daily treatments. You do assessments during progress notes. The term assessment is used in Medicare manuals related to therapy services, is distinguished from language in the CPT codes. So they're telling you right there, they kind of have their own definition. Assessment shall be provided only by clinicians. Now, this is another one that kind of took me by surprise when I first was looking at it. I generically use the term clinician for PTs, PTAs, OTs, OTAs, but by CMS guidelines, clinician is not an assistant. An assistant is not a clinician. So, but let me get to the main topic here. The assessment determines changes in the patient's status since the last visit, treatment day, and whether the planned procedure or service should be modified. Based on these assessment data, the professional may make judgments about progress toward goals, determine more complete evaluation or reevaluation is in order. See the definition below. So let's jump down here to reevaluation. Okay, so the reevaluation provides additional objective information not included in documentation. Reevaluation is separately payable, so it is a billable code, and is periodically indicated during an episode of care when the professional assessment of the clinician indicates a significant improvement, decline, or change in the patient's condition or functional status that is not anticipated in the plan of care. So this not anticipated is probably the most important component in deciding whether a reevaluation or a standard progress report is indicated. If I do an initial eval, I create a plan of care. Let's say it's a case where there's non-surgical right shoulder pain. I document all the complexities, document living situation, document functional status, document everything. And I expect that in a 6-week plan of care, going from 3 times a week to 2 times a week to 1 time a week, my individual patient is going to reach their stated functional goals. Those goals are taken directly from the functional assessment. If you want to see a video on choosing your best possible goals to avoid denial and improve outcome, check out the video. I'm going to post it up here on one of these sides, but what we're looking at here is the statement not anticipated. I expect patients are going to progress more quickly, progress more slowly, patients are going to plateau. Any of that would be within a normal plan of care. What would be unanticipated? Well, obviously, I'm sure you guys have heard an unexpected hospitalization, right? So I'm treating a patient for this right shoulder pain, and 2 weeks in, they fall and fracture a humerus, and all of a sudden now they've been hospitalized. That would be unanticipated. When they come out, I'm going to do either a re-eval or a new evaluation for a new case. Maybe the individual had an episode of, I don't know, an episode of like MI. And so now they went in, they had a cath, they had, you know, workup for their heart, they get discharged. They're coming back for the same condition, but there's been an unanticipated major change. Maybe they changed living environments, maybe something else had gone on. So that's when you're looking at a re-evaluation charge. It's essentially when there's something major that is not anticipated in the original plan of care. Other than that, standard progress reports are expected to be done, and they're not reimbursable separately. Now, that being said, I think it's important to look at, well, what is Medicare actually talking about in terms of a progress report? I'm going to make that a separate video. It's down in the documentation section of this document, so if you don't want to wait for me to make that video, go ahead. But when you look at the Medicare example for what a progress report looks like, you will be blown away, because I guarantee you guys are going above and beyond tenfold in what you're calling a progress report. So if you want to see that video on progress report, post in the comments. Let me know. If you want to see a video on creating long-term functional goals, post in the comments, let me know, and please take a minute to hit that subscribe button. We're getting close to 1,000 subscribers. At the date of release for this video, it is March 29th. We're just over 600. So guys, let's get there. Let's hit that goal. In the meantime, let me know what kind of information you need from me. I'll talk to you later.